children, yeah.
The U.S. legal system has roots in a 1662 law that made sure your bloodline stays enslaved forever. It's called the baby follows the belly. See, they don't teach this in your history books. Donald Trump signed an executive order that changes how the 14th Amendment works, and it ties directly back to this law and enslaved melanated American Indians and Africans.
We can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, and some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves.
Let's talk about it. In 1662, Virginia passed a brutal law, Partus Sequitur Ventrum, Latin for the baby follows the belly. Before this, your status was inherited from your father, but the slaveholders flipped it. They said if your mother was enslaved, you were enslaved.
Grand Rising, everybody. This is Dice Game G coming back here on the We Are VishusTv, and we real, raw, and unedited. Me and Dickie Jr. This is 2025, y'all. We doing it extra lit this year. So make sure when you come to our channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you've been subscribed. Hit that like button, because that like button is gonna bring more people to our channel. And I'm telling you, we'd be so appreciated if you do that. Leave a comment too, because we want to know how you feel about every of all our content in this video you looking at too, even though the live stream. So make sure you subscribe, and you subscribe on other platforms too. You can find us really on Telegram. You know, Telegram, we doing it live and lit on there too. Also, you find Instagram and X. Everybody hit us on X. We doing it live on there too. You know, we got our TikTok channel too. You know, we're gonna leave all the links in the description. And our Big Shoot channel doing great. So I'm Dice Game G here on Raw Vicious Network, and I love y'all on We Are VishusTv.
Nobody saved and died. They would have drowned in their own urine and in their own feces, because the growth was going anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 months to crawl in those days. But the lies have been perpetuated while your history was stolen. Most of the people.
When the Moors came into Europe, the first slavery was white slavery, traded in their own people for hundreds of years. White folks sold their people to the Moors the moment they saw Moors coming. It was of great pride to be able to have a black face on your family shield. It was an honor for you to have a name like Moore or Morrison. Yes, white slavery was it. Selling particularly their daughters. They would sell them all over the world. And you know, in many families, the wives and the children reportedly were so relieved when they were sold. They were better treated by Moors as servants than they were as wives to their European husbands. See, we don't know this because they are so focused on us in the newspaper nowadays. It seems like we are the ones that are so perverse and depraved.
The Moors were black people that dominated the European, the Iberia, Spain and Portugal. They called it Al-Andalus or Andalusia, from 711 to 1492. And over a period of 800 years, they finally conquered the black people in Spain, enslaved them. A lot of the first slaves to come to the Western Hemisphere did not come from Africa. There were black people enslaved in Spain and brought over here. The books of the Moors were burnt. It is said the Moors had everything it took to make a civilization great. And now nobody knows anything about it. Are white people inherently evil? I do not believe people are born with a racist nature. No more than I believe black people are born crackheads, are born violent, are born criminals. That is learned behavior. Nevertheless, I would have to say that Europeans are the product of a perverse and a sick culture.
You black little Indian, come on, you hear me?
You know something? You got a bad mouth, Mr. Paxton. Anybody ever tell you that?
Never more than once. You dirty, no-account, mangy little black Indian, I'm gonna knock
Black
your...
people, they don't want you to believe that. They don't want you to know who you are because you're Indian. Not those type of Indians. The ones in America. Not in the 7-Elevens, in the reservations. You were indigenous to this land and you own this promised land. But they don't want you to.
I'm from America. That's what we're saying. Just like a Jamaica, just like a no, hold on. Just like somebody from Jamaica, they're not going to say what country in Africa they're from. Somebody in Haiti is not going to say what country from. They're going to say they're Haitian
because they were closer from what is it called, the triangular slave trade.
Then when they
First and foremost, we're not from a country in Africa. It's 50 states in the United States. I don't know if y'all educated since y'all know so much. Let me just explain this to you. It's 50 states in the United States. I was born in Michigan. My parents were born in Michigan. My grandparents were born in Alabama and Tennessee. My great-grandparents were born in Alabama and Mississippi. My great-great-great-grandparents were born in Alabama. My great-great-great-great-great-grandparents were born in Alabama. And my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents were still, it wasn't even Alabama yet, it was Indian territory, Creek Indians and Cherokee Indians. So, again, we are from North America. We're not African at all, first and foremost. But, hey, if y'all want to believe that juice, believe it. But even if y'all go up with all that y'all say, oh, we're African, we came from the slave trade, we've still been in America before anybody. Most people was even over here. We've been here. We are the indigenous people of the United States. Again, we're the indigenous people of North America, but we're the indigenous people of the United States. But after we get that point out, let's understand this. This is what I found real disingenuous when y'all come over here.
Africans look at African Americans, they're like, these people have credit cards. We don't even have credit cards. These people are not even working, and we come here and we busting our asses. And now we're doing this. We're now 6 figures, and these people have all these years to become all these great jobs and careers, and they're not doing anything. I'm just saying this is what they're saying. Yeah, this is the conversation. It's like, y'all have all this time to get free money, free loans, and you don't get that back at home.
Yeah, but
y'all get that when y'all come here, though.
Exactly, and guess what? We're right here, and y'all are still here.
There's a lot.
Y'all come over here, understanding that y'all are fleeing oppression in your own land. Y'all are fleeing European imperialism in your own land. Y'all are on a land where y'all know this is your land. Y'all know that Africa is your land. All sub-Saharan Africa is yours. Y'all know y'all are fleeing that and taking 1,000-mile trips going to start a new life in United States and Europe. But you're fleeing the poverty in your own land, and you guys keep bringing up this poverty about our land. You're comparing yourself to the ghettos of America, but that's the people, even when you get here, you emulate. You emulate from the aesthetic, from the vernacular, from the words you say, from the hairstyles, down to even like how us as men dress, and down to how our women lay their baby hairs down. That's who y'all emulate, the hood people. But let's keep in mind, we are not a monolithic people. We have people in the middle class. We have people in the upper, higher, wealthy class that y'all are trying to become. But y'all not on that level. Y'all don't compare yourself to them. Y'all come up here and compare yourself to our poor. Why aren't you comparing yourself to the millions of people and the millions of poverty that you left in Africa? Why aren't you comparing yourself to that poor? That would be my question. If you came from one of the countries in Africa, when it's millions of poverty, we know we call them ghettos over here. They're called slums in Africa. Why aren't you comparing yourself to the people in the slums in Africa? You can't come over here and say, we're doing better, y'all down here, and y'all been here for this many years and y'all ain't doing this. Well, y'all in your own land. Y'all in your land. No, like we're in our land, North America, but y'all know that it's your land. Our imperialisms are different. Like these people that brainwashed us did a lot of stuff, just like y'all been brainwashed a lot too. Don't get me wrong. But y'all haven't got to the level we got when it comes to this imperialism shit. Y'all know it's your land. Y'all is your land.
Why aren't y'all controlling building that? So I'm saying y'all should stay out that conversation, because it sounds crazy to us. You come over here comparing yourself to our poor. Meanwhile, you're emulating our poor, or you're emulating the hoods. You're emulating the ghettos. You're singing the music. You're rapping. You're doing everything our so-called people you saying is down here doing. That's what you're emulating. But at the same time, you're trying to emulate our middle class and our higher class. So when you had a conversation, you don't talk about that middle class and higher class that you obviously know that we have, because you came to America and you live in the United States. So you're in the suburbs. You know we have people who live in the suburbs just like you. And we have people with more wealth than y'all. So don't start talking about wealth, because y'all wealth can't compare to the wealth that we have over here. And that's just true. But your wealth is in your land with the people fighting against imperialism. We ain't running to Africa. It's people come over here, get land, and there's some people who believe that they're from Africa. I'm one of the people who don't. But it's some people who believe that they're from Africa and they go get property and do things over there. But on a mass scale, when it get tough over here, we're not running to Africa. So you can't compare yourselves to us. Let's be clear. You can't. That's comparing apple to oranges. But we know where we're from. We're from the 50 motherfucking states. And before the 50 states, we're from North America, indigenous North Americans. And let's not forget that you guys are the privileged class. So you had the privilege and you had the resources to be able to leave the poverty over in your land or your country. You guys as a respected country, you already was privileged more than the other people. So you then come on here to make yourself feel superior. You look at the people who may not be doing the best in America, the whole time emulating them, walking, talking, acting. Or you stay in America, your kid's going to emulate us. And then to try to compare it, well, the whole time you was already the privileged class from Africa to be able to get a ticket. Think how many people back in Africa can't wait to get a ticket to be able to go to Europe or United States. And some of them just don't have the means, but your family actually had the means to get over here. So you, the privileged class already. So you talking about a privileged class trying to come up here and compare yourself to the underprivileged class in the United States.
Hey, if you a black American, don't scroll. Hey, you want to know why grandma never told you were Indian? It's because in 1924, a guy named Walter Plicker reclassified people that was too dark to color, or reclassified them into Negro if they were Indian, and he felt like they were too dark. In that same year, 1924, they made it illegal to call yourself an Indian if you wasn't an Indian on paper. Let me remind you, I just told you Walter Plicker reclassified black indigenous Indians as colored or Negro because they were too dark. In that same year, they made it illegal to call yourself an Indian if you wasn't an Indian on paper.
Most African Americans believe that the majority of their DNA has roots in Africa, while the remaining has roots in Native American tribes and Europe. This is often backed by genetic studies that reveal that African Americans have 73.2% African DNA, 24% European DNA, and 0.8% Native American DNA. This makes everyone believe that they are majorly descendants of black slaves. But what if we tell you that it's wrong? You have been intentionally told so. In fact, studies reveal that about 98% of African Americans have Native American roots. So, why were you lied to, and what do they want to hide? You would have never heard that tens of millions of native black Americans, or rather Indians, used to live before Christopher Columbus came to America. However, immediately after 1492, all of them disappeared. But where did they all go? Well, many were shipped to Europe and Africa as Indian slaves. That's when we realized that the story we have been taught about the slave trade is actually backward. Instead of a massive influx of Africans to America, black Indians were transported from America to Europe. From there, they were sent from Spain to Africa as commodities in exchange for African resources. These black Indians, now mistakenly identified as African Americans, were later shipped back to America and labeled as African slaves. This crucial part of our history is often neglected in school curriculums. Every European nation that colonized North America exploited Indian slaves for construction, plantations, and mining. These slaves were frequently sent to outposts in the Caribbean and Europe. Historical records, particularly those from South Carolina, the original English colony of Carolina established in 1670, provide the most authentic documentation of this practice. Between 1650 and 1730, it's estimated that at least 50,000 Indians, possibly more, were exported by the English to their Caribbean outposts. Many shipments were concealed to avoid paying government tariffs and taxes. Between 1670 and 1717, more Indians were exported than Africans were imported. Entire tribes in the southern coastal regions were decimated by slavery more than by disease or war. A law passed in 1704 conscripted Indian slaves to fight in colonial wars long before the American Revolution. Indians found themselves caught in the colonial powers' strategies for economic control. The fur trade in the Northeast, the English plantation system in the South, and the Spanish mission system in Florida all caused major disruptions to Indian communities. Displaced Indians from the fur trade in the North migrated south. Plantation owners armed them to hunt slaves living in Spanish mission communities. The French, English, and Spanish manipulated the slave trade to their advantage. They negotiated the freedom of slaves in exchange for peace, friendship, and military alliance.
You're not African, you're just only American?
Yeah, I'm American.
Okay, explain.
So my most recent descendants are literally from Central America and North America, indigenous Black Americans. They have the same color, the same melanin content, but they are not from Africa. I can't name any country in Africa. What I'm saying is that if I take a test right now, I could say some Italian, some German, some Australian up in there, 13% Ghanaian, 19% Nigerian, like who knows and who cares? But what I'm saying is that my immediate ancestors are American.
Oh, yeah.
Mine.
Are they Black?
They're Black, but they're not African. It's a difference. The whole thing about African booty scratchers, and even why Black Americans have been called African booty scratchers, is because the white people have classified us all as coming from Africa because we're all Black. And that's where the whole like falsified information has come, where we all come from the Atlantic slave trade and all the Black people were just shipped here to this country and all over. That's not true. We were already here. Like we were already here lining up every part of the world.
But if what you're saying is true, then you are more Hispanic or Asian than you are Black, because before the transatlantic slave trade, there was what they call Paleo Indian, which those individuals.
No, and once again, you're misinformed, and that's that's nice.
I'm not saying that's the only people that were here, but
Yeah,
they
it's
have
not.
Paleo Indians, which the Aztec came from, which the Aztec, the Inca, those tribes came from what is called Asia to some extent.
What I'm saying is that with the transatlantic Atlantic slave trade, like you've been like misinformed to think that there were only, what do you say, paleo, like white colored Indians essentially that were here. That's not true. There were Black people here, or as people say, the Moors or whatever you want to call it. There were Black people here indigenously, like they were across the whole world.
So I'm strolling up down my timeline, right? Man, I ain't seeing nothing but my Black people, my Black Americans coming to the knowing who they are, man, knowing who we are, man. This our land, man. We the true indigenous people, you know what I mean? Everybody claim this and they claim that, but everybody always knew who we was. You see what I'm saying? But I'm happy that my people are realizing who we are. You see what I'm saying?
People, African Americans, will never be deported off of this land because we are the aboriginal of this land. Y'all know Trump just signed that executive order getting rid of birthright citizenship, the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment clearly states that any persons born in the U.S. and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States. So they said the Indians who are not taxed are not citizens of the United States. Okay, so what is an Indian not taxed? An Indian not taxed is living on reservations under the care of government agents, or roaming individually or in bands over unsettled fractions of the country. Right? Okay, so then it goes on. And it separates, and it says Indians not in tribal relations, whether full-blood or half-bred, who are found mingled with population residing in white families, engaged as servants or laborers, or living in huts on the outskirts of towns are regarded as the ordinary population of this country. So that didn't include them. It said the Indians that are not taxed. Who are they? Who are the ordinary population of this country? That's us. Because isn't it weird that this article says, excluding Indians, Trump admin questions Native Americans' birthright citizenship in court. Why did he separate Native Americans and Indians? Because the Native Americans are planted, they're characters, they're playing a role. They were brought over here by Siberia.
Those Siberians. This group is the direct ancestor of Native Americans. 2/3 of Native American ancestry can be traced back to them.
Check it out. I'm 16% Mongolian.
Look at this. We were the Indians. I mean, we didn't call ourselves the Indians. That's just what Columbus called us when he was brought over here by the Moors. But he didn't discover us.
The discovery of America. The discovery of America. Is it all in there? Nearly. Isn't that fantastic? Look at that. The discovery of America. I think I'm just going to leave this $10 here on the table, so that way it's out of my hands.
We were already here. We are aboriginal to this land, and if you need any more proof, you go further down in North America from Mexico to Panama. They all are black. The Mayans are black. And the Native Americans are getting deported, and they're talking about having to carry around their ID card. Why do they have to carry around that ID card to identify themselves? Wouldn't the government be able to identify their own Native people? Make that make sense.
If you don't like Trump, get the fuck out of America. Trump said birthright citizenship is only for fucking black people. Native Americans always being disrespectful to black people, talking about we ain't indigenous to America, but I'm finna bust your fucking bubble. And in 1924, Indian citizenship was signed into law, granting U.S. citizenship to all natives born in America, because you're not fucking indigenous. And the Trail of Tears happened in 1830 through 1850. That's 20 fucking years, meaning that y'all went through 20 years of bullshit with the Europeans when they came to fucking America. And the Underground Railroad, far as black people, happened from the 1700s to the end of the fucking Civil War, ended in 1865. So we went through centuries of problems with European people burning down our ancestors' houses, businesses, farms, stealing our goats, cows, sheep, every goddamn thing that we worked hard for. Manslaughter, being hung. We went through so many motherfucking things. But your people only went through 20 years and not one was hung. You just went through 20 years trying to fight for some shit that wasn't yours. You went through 20 years walking down Trail of Tears, crying and bitching because y'all wanted our land. Y'all wanted our history. And y'all signed motherfucking government contracts to live on Indian reservations to have our motherfucking history. Stop saying all black people come from fucking Africa, because the blacks that's in America is not fucking African. If you look on the job application, it say black or African American. Us in America is black. Africans that come over from Africa to America is considered African Americans. You dumb fuck. Just like on the job application, you can see it say Native American or Alaska Native. The so-called Native Americans are truly Alaska Natives. That's why they live with teepees, Eskimos and shit. Just look it the fuck up. Real Indians had houses. Real Indians had shit that the white man wanted. And that's why black people, houses, businesses, and shit was burned down. That's why we was enslaved, because we were good at building. We was good at farming. We was good at crop. We was good at all that shit. And they needed us to do the shit. And on top of it, look at the skin. We can stand the sun. The sun love us. God love us. So guess what? We're going to use God-chosen people that can stand the sun, that don't get burned up, to get out here and work this motherfucking field.
Bro, you feel me? Now everybody about to feel this shit. Everybody that was disrespecting us, asking them condescending ass questions like, where are you from? Where are you really from? Who are you? You don't know who you are. You don't know who you want to be. You guys are confused. You guys are this. We've always known we were from the United States. Everybody has always known we were from the fucking United States. Now, everybody who's basically turned against us is feeling the wrath of the... Have you noticed that everybody who's turned against Black Americans and has betrayed Black Americans is feeling the wrath of Donald Trump and his administration? Native Americans are getting embarrassed. People of immigrant backgrounds are getting embarrassed. Being told the same shit we've been telling you on the internet. Y'all don't want to motherfucking acknowledge it. Now you have to fucking acknowledge it. Because I'll be damned if my kids and my grandkids have to be bullied by foreigners on a land that they're ethnically from. Y'all got us fucked up.
Birthright censorship is going away, and people want Black Americans to put the capes on and care about them, and we don't give a shit. Because every time we need another group, including people from the African diaspora, what do? You find ways to shit on our freaking legends like the Buffalo Soldiers, Harriet Tubman, so many others. You find a way to come over and undermine us. You find a way to go in and get under white supremacists, and find a way to just constantly find a way to shit on us. To show us there is no unity. We've tried the whole black and brown unity. We tried the same speaking African diaspora. At this point, we are fucking resting. We don't give a shit. Now, if I don't speak for you, that's fine. But I can guarantee you, a good chunk of Black America is sick of everybody's shit. So it don't matter if you come from the freaking diaspora or any other group. We don't care.
The world is free. The world is free.